All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Blockbuster Brothers. Today, we finished the Eternaut on Netflix, and we're going to review both episodes 5 and 6, and then a little recap about how we felt about the series in total. Steven, you want to dive in first? What were your thoughts about the closing episodes?
Well, we just got to give a little golf clap. Just a heck of a series. Um, and I'm really in love with the way that they start these episodes. So episode 5 starts with a soldier, right? Isolated soldier. He's fighting. His friends are dying around him. The enemy is charging, all this stuff. Boom, we hop right back into the more modern timeline. And I know
And
we've said
oh,
oh,
sorry,
go
I
ahead.
believe that was a flashback of his younger self. I thought
Right.
that was okay.
Right. Yeah. And so I just felt like the way that they structure these beginnings are so interesting because they hook you in. It's just like in episode 2 or 3, I can't remember, where they start with the girl walking to the soccer field or the soccer concrete area, and they're playing. It's this very like light, natural moment. And she goes, "Oh, don't worry, I'll bring it for you." She hops on the bike, the drone goes overhead, and then boom, we cut to the drone overhead of the car
Mm.
with all the snow and stuff like that. So I was really happy with episode 5. It was very cool to see the daughter reunited with the family, even though she obviously was, you know, having some issues and difficulties that led her to be found to begin with. But yeah, I was happy with it.
Yeah, and you're starting to see, and obviously, what this is kind of leading up to is this was kind of leaving and setting up for season 2, where they didn't really. You're learning more and more, and starting to put together the mystery of these other beings and their capabilities. You're starting to see there's some manipulation of like the people. You know, at the end, you start to see them letting in that one military guy like walk into their like home base. And I think it did a great job of just pacing this out of like slow burning a mystery. And I think so much of film and TV now over explains stuff and doesn't let you put together the story and leave you in wonder. I've always thought that it's a good thing when you like are burning to answer, have a question answered. That's why playing hard to get is a thing, because when you don't have something, you desire it more. And I think that's true for understanding a story. And I like how they're slow burning it. It was, I'm sure the people in the story enjoyed the snow finally stopping, but I missed it in terms of a prop, and I just loved the masks as well. I thought that just aesthetically was such a huge part of the story. I think again, it's cool to see the insight of the Argentinian society and how they work together in a depiction of their people and the different like groupings of people that kept come together in this event. I'm really excited for season 2. And I think you have to applaud them for getting this all done for $15 million. This would have cost Hollywood in America 200 million. And they would have put some stars you didn't need at all. They did a great job all around. We had some great support from the Argentinian people, and provided some really great information about this series, and kind of going back to the comic of what was risked initially to get this story done. The writer was, and him and his family and his daughters were killed because telling the story. And it's cool to have this finally get to a point where it's being told and told to a global community. And I'm really excited to continue this journey on with season 2, whenever this may be. Please let us know if you have any insight on when that's going to be shooting. And then, looking out for more Argentinian projects in the future. We appreciate you all who've hopped on the Blockbuster bandwagon, and we plan on continuing to cover, Argentinian films and content in the future.
And I got very excited, Brian, because you mentioned people, contributing and commenting online. Shout out to Maria,
Maria's
we
dope.
were we
Legend.
were yeah, legend. We were talking about the VFX and how crisp it looks for the amount of money compared to a lot of Hollywood shows, whatever. Here's the comment. I think it's worth reading. The entire season was made by an Argentinian crew. The technology was used in the background is the same used in The Mandalorian, an infinity stage placed in Buenos Aires. And I thought that was very cool. And Brian, if we hadn't decided to watch this to begin with, we wouldn't have been in touch with this community. So that's awesome.
Yeah, and to comment about that, it's really impressive because in Mandalorian, that budget's huge. This is
Huge.
a huge Disney project, and you just don't get a trace of it being too like CGI, and or that the fact that it's on a screen. It's a big stage with instead of having to do the CGI, and please correct me if I'm wrong, they just have it instantly displayed onto these screens in the background, so it's just like kind of baked in and saving you money, which they're going to have to do if they're going to have to keep it cheap to $15 million. But again, I think it's kind of obviously Michael Bay didn't invent this, and his movies are heavy CGI. But I think even when you do CGI, you have to make sure that you have practical elements, at least in the foreground, to marry and give, to take the weight of belief. Because if there's real practicality in your sets, then you're gonna pass off the stuff that's CGI easier. It needs to be based off of that. So I hope that that's the middle ground. Is like, this is a perfect example. How they did these streets, the stage design, the production. There was tremendous amount of love and care, and I can see it in the comic section in our previous videos on this topic of like how that is when they're making this movie. Because when it comes to making great films, you have to have that passion, and I see it in this. And this was a big project. There's a lot of people involved. This was very ambitious, and I hope to see them given even more money. Netflix, give them the green light, let them go. Give them 30 million. Give them what they're giving. These Marvel movies. Jeez, they'll give you the moon if you give them 200 million. Jeez, imagine.
Speaking of Mandalorian, because we're talking about it with this Infinity Stage thing, how much do you think it cost, Brian, for 8 episodes?
190 million.
100 million. So you're talking about a 12.5 million budget per episode. The Eternaut did the whole season, 6 episodes, in under 15. So we just can't give enough credit to the Eternaut and the people that made this project. So folks, thanks for watching and coming along with us on this Eternaut journey. Viva Argentina, Viva Eternaut. We'll see you next time.
Love you all.